everyone, today is Sunday, August 11th. We are 1 week away from the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, which you will see happening pretty much live on social media. I think we might do some YouTube shorts while we're there. I don't know if anybody actually watches those. Let me know down in the comments if that's what you want to see. Otherwise, we'll be doing the usual posts on Instagram and Facebook, and I guess I could cross-post to YouTube if those YouTube shorts aren't annoying and people actually want to see them. Since we are just 1 week away from Pebble Beach, I figured I'd give you guys a preview of the car that we're taking with us. You've seen it here on the channel if you've seen past videos. It's the 1966 Cannara, what we are billing as the design basis, the first wedge car that kind of kicked off the movement, which is quite the claim, of course, because you've got the more widely known ones, many of which will be in the class. In fact, our class of wedge cars has gotten so big they had to split it into two. There's going to be just over 20 wedge cars on the field. So we've done videos on the Cannara before. It's gone through a restoration. Our buddy Rob, who handles a lot of the paint and body work for these cars, you've seen in past videos as well, Rob Hernandez. He has gone through the car, straightened out lines, redone the body work, and repainted it again, so it's looking extra fresh for the show here. So we can't say yet what all 20 cars are comprising this now two-split class of wedge cars. Obviously, we'll have the 1966 Cannara in the class, and I can tell you of 4 others a week ahead of the actual show. We will have the 1955 Ghia Gilda Streamline X. We will have the 1970 Ferrari Modulo. We'll have the 1970 Lancia Stratos HF0, as well as the 1979 Aston Martin Bulldog, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen in recent coverage. Those are 5 cars out of the 20 we can tell you for sure will be there. Hopefully we'll see some of you there. If you spot myself or Jeff or anybody else you might know from the channel on the field, come up, say hi. We'd love to meet you in person. Now, one car that I actually truly don't know if it's going to be there or not would be the 1969 Auto Bianchi Runabout. And that, as far as wedge cars go from the era that post-date the Cannara, is probably the closest one to a true wedge shape that meets the same criteria as the Cannara does. Now, we actually have some comparison photos for you to see yourself. The Cannara finished in 66, the Auto Bianchi finished in 69, and you can, I think, see with your own eyes here how close a lot of these details, the wedge shape, the angles are between the two cars. Is it possible that the Italian design house of Bertone, who did the car, actually knew about the Cannara? Who's to say? 2 great ideas could happen simultaneously halfway around the world, years apart, but maybe they did know about the Cannara. Current owner Guy Durkin acquired it from Jeff. They too are longtime friends and collaborators. You might remember Guy's past car that we've had on the channel, the 1953 Victress S1 that was put together by the team at Trend Inc., later Motor Trend. So the Cannara is really the only one that we're going to be bringing for the class, even though there are well over 20 cars. The majority is going to be filled out by a lot of the typical design houses you'd expect for wedge cars from the 60s, 70s, 80s. The 1966 Cannara was designed and built by a gentleman named Ray Cannara, aptly named, as he named the car after himself, as many people did in that time. He was only 17 years old when he actually designed and started building it, just having graduated high school in 1964. Even a couple years prior to that, he showed promise in automotive design, having entered the General Motors Fisher Body Craftsman Guild competition and actually won when he was 14 and 15 2 years in a row. So he was already well on his way even before he was done with high school and even before he had designed the Cannara. After graduating high school, Ray headed out to Art Center in California, which at the time was where many aspiring automotive designers were educated, and many of whom, including Ray, were educated under Strother McMinn. And if Strother McMinn's name sounds familiar, it should. He was prolific and started the careers of many automotive designers in that era, but more specifically and more recently, you'll recognize his name associated with the 1958 Le Mans Coupe, which we've covered here and is owned by our friend Dennis Kazmarowski and his partner in that car, Chip Fudge, who did a fantastic restoration on it and has been all over the place between Amelia, Pebble Beach. We've had videos on the car here on the channel, and even Jay Leno highlighted it on his own show, Jay Leno's Garage, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. I'll have the link, I think, over here if you want to check that out, if you haven't seen it already. Now, the design that Strother McMinn had penned for the Le Mans Coupe, he didn't refer to it as a wedge car, but rather an oval bullet or a rounded wedge design. In fact, Mack, being the visionary that he was and somebody who kicked off the career of so many famous automotive stylists of the era, saw the wedge car movement coming as early as 1957 and penned an article in Road and Track in that same year, on the cover of which was John Bond's 1957 Buyers SR100. Now this is not John Bond's actual Buyers SR100, but it is an exact same model. And if you're looking at it thinking, well, it kind of looks like a Cobra, well, keep in mind, this car came out 7 years before the debut of the Cobra. So in reality, the Cobra looks like this. Cobra guys might not like that, but you can't argue with the timeline. Speaking about Cobras, another one of Mac's famous students was Peter Brock, who had a crucial role to play in Shelby's Cobra, and more specifically his own design for the Cobra Daytona Coupe, which again is not a true wedge car, but does take those cues that Mac was talking about in the oval bullet or rounded wedge shape. So jumping forward a little bit in time, when Ray joined at Art Center in 1966, he actually had the car done completely. And now Ray at the time had grown up in St. Petersburg, Florida, and actually drove the mostly finished Cannara all the way from St. Pete to Los Angeles and back twice in 66 and 67, and both times with his mother on both trips. So you can imagine what it must have been like traveling in this car, literally cross country, in an open roadster car with no top, and your mom, and this huge apparatus on the back for all of your clothes and everything else you were traveling with. As impressive as it is already for a 17-year-old to design and build his own car, drive it cross-country twice with his mother riding shotgun, he actually built and completed the car to a very high level of quality finish using, of course, fiberglass. He started with the basis of a 1958 Chevy station wagon chassis, if you can believe it. He shortened it down. Obviously, this car is nowhere near the same length as a 58 station wagon. The motor is a 1963 Chevy 283 V8 backed up to an automatic transmission. What's been discussed in past videos about this car as well is that you would expect it to have a lot of sharp angles, which it does, but there's a surprising amount of curvature all over the car, which unless you're looking for it, and especially seeing it in person, might be hard to tell. So we'll have some clips later that kind of highlight where you're seeing these great contrasting curves with the angularity of the car. Fast forward to 1979. That's the last time Ray Cannara saw the car until we reunited it with him. So how we came to know about the Cannara goes back to 2015, when a friend of Jeff's had started posting the car around Facebook after having purchased it from Craigslist, looking for information about it, because at the time it was just an interesting looking car he acquired. Nobody knew the history. There were no labels or information or paperwork that would actually allow you to document who was the original designer or even the most recent owner to try to start establishing some type of history for the car. So Jeff at the time did what any reasonable person would do. He traded a fully restored Cimbra, which is what the owner of the Cannara at the time had always wanted, for what our friend Paul Sable would refer to as a Hulk. And you can see in the as found photos here from 2015, 2016, the car had seen better days. It had been changed from that original silver color to a red at some point and was in dire need of restoration. So it got brought back down to Florida in the good hands of Ralph Smith for the mechanicals and Rob Hernandez for the paint and bodywork. And Jeff does what Jeff always does. He actually was able to go through and find who the original owner was, reconnect the car with Ray Cannara, who actually came down and was very helpful to give some design insight. So the car restoration began in earnest in 2019. It was completed around 2022 and then made its debut at the 2022 Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance. This is its second time at a major concours here for the Pebble Beach 2024 event, and we'll be doing our best to cover it along the way. Now, some of you might be saying, wow, that's quite a claim to make. This is the car that started the wedge car movement. This one that many people haven't heard of, from a designer that many people haven't heard of, as opposed to the ones that are more ubiquitous from the Italian design houses like Bertone, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, all the other wedge cars that come to mind. Say, for example, even the Lancia Stratos HF0. I mean, that's really the quintessential one I think most people think of. If you look at the timeline, though, this one really is one of the earliest ones that is a pure wedge design. And what defines a pure wedge design? Well, Jeff and the owner, Guy Durkin, who is a longtime collaborator of ours, have actually put together a book that chronicles the history of the wedge car movement and really gives you the information you'll need to hopefully be convinced that the Cannara actually is the first true wedge car at the start of the movement. So I'll link that book, which is digital and free. You can even print it out if you want, down in the notes for the video, and maybe even up here somewhere if I can figure out how that'll work. Which leads me to my next point. Let me know down in the comments, what do you guys want to see covered at the Pebble Beach Concours? Obviously, I'm going to be focused on the wedge car class because that's actually what we're there for primarily. I'll give a tour of the show field. But are there things you want to see? Are there aspects of the show you want covered in a certain way? let me know. You know, it's important that the people that are actually coming back are enjoying what's being presented here. And to that point, we're cruising towards 10,000 subscribers, which is crazy because I only really started gearing up the channel, I think about a year and a half ago when we were just at 2,000 subscribers. So it's really starting to take off. We really appreciate those who have been here from the very start and those who might be here just as of today with this video. So let us know down in the comments what you want to see, how you want to see it. Is there something that we could do to improve? We're always trying to get better at this, but if you've got specific guidance, let me know. I'm always open to constructive criticism. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the clip, which is Jeff and Rob getting the Cannara prepared for its transport from Tampa to California just a couple days ago in the fresh bodywork and paint that Rob just got completed. You could practically smell the fumes coming off the car if you were there in person.
You see the keychain?
Oh, the Chevy keychain. Oh, cool. Doors. There's the hubcaps. Boy, the emblems look good on there.
Cool.
Yeah, really nice.
Going to California? No. Big show out there. Yeah.
You just bypass it. You bypass the transport, Rob. You just get in here this afternoon. Just head out to California like Ray did. So you put on the street. I'll start taking shots and do video walkthrough and all. Boy, Cannara looks nice. Is there a fire extinguisher with the car?
In the back.
Okay. Does it have adequate gas?
5 gallons.
Okay.
On top of whatever it had.
Okay.
All the fluids are good.
Huh?
All the fluids are good. Oil,
Man, how's the differential fluid?
yeah, it's full of was empty.
Actually, water would not pool up in this. It would come right off. It's flat. It's flat. Does not rise up in the center. Yeah, you and I would look perfectly comfortable in this car together. Can you imagine driving across the country?
Sumo wrestlers.
Yeah.
Got to turn on the battery.
Anything I can do?
On the top left,
I see the switch. What do I do? Switch
keep
it.
reaching with your left hand
Yes.
and turn it right.
That. If I can reach all the way back there. Oh, I can't easily. I'm turning it all the
Turn
way.
to the right. Yep, that's it.
No, I turn it this way.
Yep, that's right.
I turned it
Clockwise.
Clockwise, yeah. Okay. Here, you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Easy to get to.